Hello, this website is called Skyview Cafe. And right now is the morning of September 17th. If we click this track current time button, it will show us where the sun currently is at 11:14 a.m. But if we unclick that and go to the rising of the sun, we can see the pattern of the stars straight up overhead, even though the sun has the sky so bright right now that if we looked up, we wouldn't be able to see those tiny little specks of light distinct from the blue sky. But maybe some of you can notice there's these three here in a row. From my experience, if anybody knows to recognize one astronomical feature outside of our solar system, that's it, the belt of Orion. And within our solar system, I think most of you probably recognize the moon when you see it. If you look at the sky at all, you might know that Jupiter appears very bright and you might be able to recognize Jupiter. I was very happy a few years ago when I noticed Mars rising, or thought that I had noticed Mars rising, and looked it up, and yes, had noticed off in the east from where I live a rather orange looking dot that seemed to be in a part of the sky where at that time before I didn't remember seeing anything, the way that the old people used to notice things. But what we're talking about today is the horoscope and what the rising sign means. I think, again, if anyone is more knowledgeable on horoscope, by all means, fill us in. And one of the things I'm going to do is ask anyone out there watching to notice what happens when we change the date from this year. I'm going to use the arrow buttons on my keyboard instead of clicking this one all the time. But if we go down, now it just changed to 21. I'm going to go back to today, track the current time, unclick that, go back to the rising. Now, if you saw what I did, this time I'm going to use the keyboard arrow because I want to do it more than once. But I'm going to change 22 to 21. And when that happens, see if you notice, do the stars change? The moon and the planets will change position, but do the stars change? Anyone notice? Do you say yes or no? 21, 22,
I
22,
say no.
21, 22, 21. Now we're going to go 20, 19, 18, 17. Now we're down to 2000. Sure, the moon and the planets shift, and the display sort of jiggles around a little bit, partly because the rising of the sun is at a different time. Today, each month and each day of the month, not that much different, but slightly different since we're already back to 1959. And yes, I see several people saying the stars remain the same. Let's go faster. Are the stars changing or not? Now we're down to 1900. Now we're down to 1800. The display seems to be wiggling back and forth a little bit. What do you say? Here's Orion's belt. Is it still in about the same place?
I mean,
Now somebody
they
says,
shift a little bit.
are they really shifting?
Not necessarily like completely moving, but they're just moving from side to side. Like,
And that may just be the display. So does it rock back and forth? And do they end up in the same place, or is it really moving?
I believe they end
See
up
how,
in the same place. It's just it's the rotation of the planet that's moving.
but remember, we're still at the rising of the sun on September 17th. Even though we're back to 1640, notice, here's Orion's belt. So has it shifted to the west, or is it still in the same place? So the Earth is still in the same position in its path around the sun. And notice Pluto is so far away. Look how slowly it moves across the sky year by year. 1630. The other planet's much closer. Pluto took 30 years to cross. Now it's out of view. But what about Orion's belt? Is it really shifting or not? Now we're down to 1500. Let's go back to the current time. Unclick that. Rising of the sun. Let's go 10 years at a time. Maybe that'll give us a different view. So now 2012, 2002. Bam. Now we're down to 1800, 1700, 1600. What do you say? Are the stars moving or not? Kind of wiggling back and forth, but are they really shifting west or not? Now we're down to 800, 700. Track current time. Anybody? It did look like it shifted. Orion's belt did shift a little bit. We're back on current time. Orion's belt's way over here now because we're at 1130. But if we go back to the rising of the sun, there's Orion's belt pretty much straight between north and south. Now, this is the part where when we're in a room together, sometimes people gasp out loud. Now we're going to shift things 100 years at a time. If anybody wants to gasp in the chat or out loud, if it seems appropriate, feel free. If you're ready, I'm going to go back in time 100 years at a time in 3, 2, 1, and look what happens now. There goes Orion's belt. Now we're down to almost 6000 BC. Did they shift?
Yes, they did.
Big time. Now let's go forward. Here comes Orion's belt. Now we're up to 0, 1000, 2000, 3000. Look at Orion's belt. It's way over there in the east. Off the screen at almost the year 10,000. Track the current time, rising of the sun again. And now let's turn on the names of the constellations. What constellation was rising this morning with the sun? Leo. Is this the season of Leo? Can anybody tell us?
It's Virgo season, actually.
Virgo, getting pretty close to. I had a calendar open earlier this morning, but I don't remember. Is it Libra?
I believe Leo is in October, but I don't know when.
No.
I thought I remembered my friends who were Leos having their birthday parties in the summer when I was a kid.
Yes, correct.
Now, can anybody guess what I'm going to do? This is not Leo season, even though Leo was rising this morning. How far back in the past are we going to have to go for constellation rising to match up with the season? There's Virgo. Virgo's pretty long across the sky. Here comes Libra. So how far back do we have to go to be a Virgo, almost Libra? So now if anybody wants to say anything about the star's position in the sky when you were born, having anything to do with your personality or not, does it influence the way you think about things to think that the system was created many, many centuries ago, but the stars have shifted since the system was created and humans still use the same schedule? That means a lot to me. I'm going to wrap this up here for the recording. Oh. That one is elegant as I wanted to do. I am trying to turn this off, but it's still on for the moment.